Lave radio, transmitting to every corner of the galaxy.
Frankenstein and powerful. Each tale found opens up a sordid past. Each voice talks of despair or betrayal. In these words lies our fears and machinations. Did we ever make this choice? Shadows will pass, wrapped in logs, stuck down at bases, lit up with death. No one seemed to escape them. Copper or glass, they had the power, used it gladly. Nobody asked, answers never were given. So when we stand together, know the record show that it was error. Not a savior, but a devil in our midst. A holocaust they planned forever, but the flag returned with vigor. Spelling space, right into our place. Each tale found opens up a sordid past. Each voice talks of despair or betrayal. In these words lies our fears and machinations. Did we ever make the choice? Did we ever make the choice? Did we ever make the choice?
From the makers of the MB5 shaving drone comes the latest impersonal grooming technology. Here at Saracen, we've heard your request loud and clear. You want something new. Applying all the recent technological advances. Introducing the Panther Clipper. Gone are the days of your unruly body hair making you look like a bedraggled alpaca. The Panther Clipper is the biggest, baddest shaver credits can buy. A shave so smooth it'll shave 10 milliseconds off your buckyball time. The new Panther Clipper from Saracen. It's exactly what you've been asking for.
You want a working classic? Built stronger to last longer? A ship that'll go on and on, with no dangling wires? Jump across the black, haul to every station, and when the Goids come close, we got some firepower too. Like on Spaceways, engineered and mechanically designed to stay on the job. Put a Lakon on your payroll.
From the creators of luggage limpets and passenger lounge suitcase shuttles comes the latest revolution in passenger transportation. The passenger cannon. For centuries, circus performers have perfected the technique of being fired from a cannon. Paired with our new memory gel passenger pod impact absorption technology, you too can speed up disembarkation times from your liner by up to 250%. No longer be limited by pad sizes and excessive docking fees with the passenger cannon. But how does it all work? First, all passengers will be issued with a passenger pod inflation suit during transit. On approach to your passenger's destination, simply fill the inflation suit with our patented impact-absorbing memory gel. Then, once in a stable position in proximity to the destination, effortlessly slide them into the disembarkation chamber ready for launch. The passenger cannon is now available in both gimbaled and turreted varieties to make aiming elementary. Make your liner one of the top 1% in the galaxy. Buy a passenger cannon today. Warning, passenger cannon must not be operated on high-gravity planets or near geysers.
Lave radio, transmitting to every corner of the galaxy.
my breath in my head, I am free. Let's start this odyssey. Brave steps in front of me. My eyes so wide to see this future. Let's make this odyssey. Frontiers for us to see. Vistas so wide, this is the future. Embrace the future. On this odyssey. Touchdown. This place is bubbling. Watch them run, watch them fly. Have a drink, start a fire. Climb a ship, see the size. For the first time, touchdown. We are greeting. See the look in their eyes. On my highway, surprise of a fight for their lives. Yeah, we are meeting. Let's start this odyssey. Brave steps in front of me. My eyes so wide to see this future. Let's make this odyssey. Frontiers for us to see. Vistas so wide, this is the future. Embrace the future. Bullets fall like burning chaff. The celebration turns to violence. Blaze of fire makes shields go blue. Explosions fill my ringing ears. Humanity has come to stay. With all our faults, fears and anger. Joyous in this wondrous fall. Or let me slip away. Let's start this odyssey. Brave steps in front of me. My eyes so wide to see this future. Let's make this odyssey. Frontiers for us to see. Vistas so wide, this is the future. Embrace the future.
Are you thinking of suing over missold Python protection insurance? Had an accident in an airlock or slipped in a space station cargo bay and thinking of suing for compensation? Well, don't.
I tried to take my ship commander to court for making fertiliser out of my crewmates. Legal fees have left me with nothing, and now I'm hungry. All the time.
At Watt & Brittany we take small print very seriously. We have a massive team of lawyers just waiting to block your case and ramp up your legal costs.
I wanted a simple, no-win, no-fee arrangement. My case got blown out of the water by Watt & Brittany, and now I have to rent out my arse for hydrogen fuel.
At Watt & Brittany we have a saying, if you don't want a beating, stay out of our court.
I was savaged by a wild creature whilst fixing a vending machine. Can't I claim compensation?
No, you can't, because we have a massive team of lawyers and you're just someone who works for a living. Watt & Brittany. Don't even think about it.
Hello and welcome to Lave Radio.
Greetings and welcome to Lave Radio.
Greetings, Commanders.
Greetings, Commanders.
The show that talks about the universe of Elite.
And the development of the computer game Elite 4, known as Elite Dangerous.
And the fantastic
community that surrounds it.
Broadcast from the current Sidewinder and hosted by a vending machine technician.
A place of nonsense and innuendo for forum dads.
A self-contained podcast 2 hours long.
Transmitting to every corner of the galaxy.
It's even louder than me.
The hottest show this side of Dizzo.
The name of the place.
Lave Radio.
Lave Radio.
Lave Radio.
Lave Radio.
Greetings, Commanders, and welcome to episode 449 of Lave Radio, the show that likes to talk about the universe of Elite and the fantastic community that surrounds it. I'm your host, Commander Phoenix Defire, Chief Archivist of Lave Station, otherwise known as Colin Ford, and joining me in the wonderful orange Sidewinder bar for this episode, we have our classic head of health and safety, Commander Edelweiss, otherwise known as Ben Moss Woodward.
Yeah, my arm feels like it's pissed.
We have our staff liaison officer, Commander Psychit.
My arm doesn't feel like it's pissed.
Just the rest of you.
Nah, I'm good.
Okay. And of course, our SRV Banksy, Commander Alec Turner.
I'm not quick enough to think of an arm joke. Hello all, it's good to be back.
Oh. Right, well, if you wish, we are hanging out live. Is it you, Alec, that's flying around at the moment? Or is it Chris Mark IV?
Nope, I'm guessing it must be Chris.
Yeah.
Right, well, we have the Chris Mark IV flying about our, just generally around Lave Station. Chris is doing a wonderful tech today, so we've got to give him a salute. So you can annoy him in live if you like. If you can't get to us in game, you can join the Twitch chat channel, which you can access through laveradio.com/live. Click on the live chat, or go to twitch.tv/laveradio, or look us up on Twitter, Facebook, and that's about it, really. YouTube. I knew there was one. I've only been away 2 weeks, so it sort of leaks away. So we'll just check up with everybody around the crew, see how they've been, and we'll start this time with Commander Turner.
Oh, crikey. Hello.
Was that a bus I hear that I've just thrown you under?
I feel like I had so much to talk about. I had things to talk about last week, and then I didn't get to talk about them. I've just seen the new Mission Impossible film. Let's talk about that. It's fucking fantastic. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, what a thrill ride. That was 2 hours. I was ready to sit through part 2, frankly. I was quite disappointed that it was like end of part 1. It's like, come on.
Oh, is it a two-parter, this Mission Impossible?
It is.
It's like Spider-Man then? Is it like Spider-Man where they just like stop halfway through the film?
No. It's a good ending. It's a resolution. They do a thing. They do a thing that needs doing, and now there's a bigger thing that needs doing in the next one.
Okie dokie.
But it's great, and I won't give it away. But wow, the final sequence on the train is quite something.
I don't suppose. Have you seen Indiana Jones 2? And what's your review on that?
I have. So fun. Yeah, I think I raved about that a few weeks ago. Funnily enough, I heard Mike Commode's review on the new Mission Impossible, and he bloody loved it as well, actually, which is interesting. And apparently, he went to a press screening where he saw Mission Impossible and Indiana Jones on the same day.
Oh.
And it was Mission Impossible's fault that he didn't give Indiana Jones such a good review, because he said after seeing Mission Impossible, nothing else was going to come close. But I entirely enjoyed Indiana Jones as well. Thought it was fine.
Yeah. Yes, I'm lacking my film going experience at the moment.
Well,
Mostly
I can
due to other
definitely
things.
recommend the Mission Impossible. In game, I've been doing all sorts of odd little things. Actually, I finally decided to get round to installing ED HUD mod.
Oh right.
Change my HUD colors. I don't know why I've been putting it off, because it was an absolute piece of piss. I mean, you literally just run the installer and you're sort of up and running, and you've got a great long list of themes that you can pick from that various members of the community have designed, and you pick one and then you tinker with it. And wow, you can change absolutely every single freaking color in the game. I mean, you can change orbit lines, you can change the color and brightness of the night vision effect, you can change the space dust, you can change every panel, every icon. It's almost a bit much. You know what it reminds me of? And I don't know if there may well be other people in the audience that are like me on this, but many years ago, I had a very nice car stereo when I got my very first car many decades ago. And I had a very nice car stereo in the days when you had speakers on the back shelf and speakers in all the doors. And
What, for full quadraphonic sound?
yeah, I was that kid. And I got myself a graphic equalizer, and I loved it. In fact, I'm literally looking at it now. I've kept it because it was such a beautiful bit of kit made by Pioneer, but it was brushed aluminium, and it's a gorgeous thing. But I was just never happy. I was just constantly thinking, does this sound better? And then tweaking it, and does this sound better? And then before I know it, all the sliders are up to the top, and I'm thinking, all I've done is turn the volume up. And then I'd try and make little arcs, and I could never decide what I liked. And ED HUD mod has been a bit of a Pandora's box in a way, because although it is nice to be able to change your colors, once you start, there's no end to it.
Yeah,
I almost
non-stop
wish
tweaking.
Yeah, I almost wish I'd never installed the damn thing now, because I'm just constantly tinkering with it. But yeah, great little tool. And sorry to go on, but I have another exciting bit of news.
Okay.
Which I was actually going to do this on last week's show live, but then we didn't have a show, so I just did it anyway. I have bought myself a MetaQuest 2 in the Prime Day sale. Woohoo!
Nice.
Which is very
Very
exciting.
nice.
I mean, it's not a cutting edge VR headset or anything like that, but it is, from all my reading, it's the one if you want a no-brainer headset that's very good and just works. MetaQuest 2 seems to be the go-to. My old CV1, its headphones don't work anymore, and it's just a faff to set up the base stations. And so yeah, when this dropped in the Prime Day sale, I just thought, screw it, let's get one.
Yeah.
I have had precious little time to play with it, to be honest, but I have run through the tutorial, and I'm very impressed with just little things that from anyone who's got a CV1, it's just so, the fact that you just put it on and it just works without base stations is awesome.
Yeah.
The
I've got
fact
that with the XR Elite, and you just put that on, and it just reads the environment around you, and then that's it.
Yeah. Do you know what I really loved? I mean, I love the instructions. It reminds me of like IKEA instructions for flat pack, or but it's just got 3 little infographics. It's got like a picture of the hand controllers with a finger sort of pulling out the battery protection strip with a 1 on it, and then 2 is a picture of somebody putting the headset on, and 3 is a picture of pressing the power button, and yeah, that's all you need to know. And then it's all in the headset. And I love stuff like the pass-through camera and just drawing out your space. And
have you done the using your hand as a controller stuff?
Yes, I've done the hand tutorial. That was bloody amazing as well.
Yeah.
What a clever bit of kit. I can't wait to properly get into it. I've bought myself these will turn up on Saturday. I got a Kiwi Link cable.
Oh, yeah.
To play seated VR. I've toed and froed on the whole. There's this whole thing of, do you get a link cable or do you go with Live Link? And you can get dedicated routers to do Live Link. The Live Link thing just sounded a bit of a faff. I'm sorry, but the dedicated route is a little bit expensive, and you know, when you buy a product and it's got pros and cons, I didn't understand the pros and cons. I mean, it was just complete Greek to me about what was good about a router and what wasn't good about it. And plus, I read a load of stuff that if you get a 5 gigahertz router, you basically want line of sight. And frankly, if I have to sit in front of the computer to get good performance from the router, then they might as well just plug a fucking cable in, was my impression. So I bought a cable. And I've got myself a Geek VR head strap coming as well, which will it's got a battery. The thing with the Quest 2 is it's a bit front heavy, so this has got a battery pack on the back as well, and it's just a very nice head strap that it's a lot more comfortable. So, hopefully next week I'll have actually had a chance to play with it.
Have you got the condoms for your hand things as well, controllers?
No, I haven't bought any extras yet. I've spent far too much on extras already.
I can really recommend the things that basically strap over your hand. Rather than having to hold them, because it just makes it so much. It makes them so much more comfortable to use.
Actually, I tell you one other little thing. If anyone's on the fence about this, but and is thinking getting one thing that initially I was massively disappointed by. I don't know why I thought this. I suppose I hadn't Googled enough and I hadn't thought about it. But when I put my Quest 2 on and went to my library, you know, your store, as it were, I was horrified to discover that none of my vast library of Oculus games was in it. And it took me a little bit of frantic Googling to realize, yeah, it's not compatible. I mean, you can sit at your computer and play those games, but if you want to take your Quest 2 on holiday and play all those lovely games that you've accumulated in your Oculus CV1 library, ain't going to work. You're going to have to buy them again.
Oh, that's a shame.
So I will probably buy Beat Saber again. There's a thing called what do they call it? Share something. I can't remember. There's a few games work on both.
There's a couple of things that are cross-play or whatever it's
yeah,
called.
cross-play, cross-share, share play, something like that.
Turns
out,
yeah.
I think Robo
Most things
Recall
ain't.
does, which is awesome. So I'm glad I can play Robo. But yeah, I am going to have to buy Beat Saber again, which is quite annoying actually. But hey, there you go. Word of warning.
Do you know if the packs are? If you buy like a song
The
pack
music packs are fine
one,
apparently. So so they're fine. They're cross-play.
because they're the things that are actually expensive, aren't they?
I've been a bit picky. I've got a few. I haven't got loads.
But I know, I was looking at the cost of the packs and was like, okay, I would like to do that, but I'm not paying £5 for just that song.
Yeah, no,
they're kind of my feeling.
Yeah, they're cross-play. Well, I've read. I shall let you know.
Okay, that's good to know. So, fingers crossed.
But yeah, lovely bit of kit. Can't wait to use it. I have another bit of community news, but I see it's actually in our community news, so I'll wait till then.
Excellent. Okay, we'll pop over to Psychit. How are you?
I'm okay, thank you.
I've seen you streaming some Elite Dangerous. Things are obviously improving.
Yeah, no, it's been on and off. Like, I've obviously not been doing any CG work, but we've been doing a bit of BGS things, which has been quite fun. It's been quite fun to sort of re-familiarize myself with BGS of Elite again, which it's been really nice. My life for the past, I don't know, 2 months. Let's say 2 months. My life for the past 2 months at the least has been fully occupied with Dungeons and Dragons, which is, I mean, I would never complain about things being occupied by Dungeons and Dragons, but I've absolutely loved every single second of the prep that I've been doing. But on Sunday, that finally all came to fruition, and we had our first episode of Roll for Adventure, went out on Sunday, and I have been on like this perpetual high since then. So since Sunday, it's just like it's some kind of like crazy zen that's come entirely over me. Like it went out, and all of the stuff that I've done, so all of the extra bits and all of the After Effects work that I put into it, and all of that nonsense that I've really worked hard in, like making everything look really pretty and visually stimulating, and then also getting like a shit ton of comments about how much of a good DM I am, and that is mana to my fucking veins. I will eat that. I will live on that until the cows come home. I no longer need any other sustenance than praise at my dungeon mastering ability. So yeah, that's kind of like it in the grand scheme of things. My back's still not 100% from when it went just before the meetup, which I can't believe was only 2 weeks ago, but it went just before the meetup, and I'm still working back up to being the 70% that I was at before it went again. But aside from that, doing well. TYVM.
Excellent. That's good to hear, because we were a bit worried about you when the back obviously went. So yeah.
Same.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Obviously you more than us, but still. Right, Ben.
So working.
You're now invalid as well.
Yeah. Okay. So working from most recently. Then, I woke up yesterday morning, and the way I've described it to my doctor is, I'm sober, but my right arm is drunk. What this has as a practical effect is I can't use mice, I can't use keyboards, I can't carry cups of coffee in my right hand. I spoke to multiple doctors, and they think it's just in inverted commas a trapped nerve. Hopefully everything will get better, but at the moment it's right ball ache. Because I can't use a mouse, and I have to do that for my day-to-day job. And that's why I'm not in game today as well.
Lovely.
Because I tried. So rolling back a little bit over the weekend, I was doing the stocking off those twats, and I was hoping to run into Psychic, but she wasn't there.
Why would I be doing that?
No,
why would I give a fuck about that, mate?
I was hoping you were going to be coming along, and being serious, actually, I was hoping that Operation Witch Hunt would be actively interdicting people.
Well, there were a fair few people that I was well aware of who were doing.
I wish I'd been pirated by Operation Witch Hunt.
I doubt they would have. They would have gone over Operation Witch Hunt.
I would have loved the RP of that. Even though there wasn't a counterpoint CG, I'd have loved members of Operation Witch Hunt to come in and not be dicks about insta killing me, but look, it looks like you're carrying stuff for those douches. Drop it or die.
Yeah, no, they've done that before. They've done that a lot before. There were some other things going on within the PvP. It was bad timing, really. There's been some other things going on within the PvP community that have caught a lot of folks' attention. So they've been really, really concentrating on something else currently. So it might not have been as well manned as it usually is. I know a couple of people who were literally sat in open hogging pads because they wanted to try and make as much of the difference as they could.
I might have bumped into them then, because when I was like, dude, will you move, please?
Nah, mate.
when I got to places and it was like full, I was like, okay, I'm just I'll drop into another. I'll change modes.
There were a couple of folks who were pretty dedicated at doing that. I mean,
I might have. It was always gonna.
It was always gonna. It would always complete anyway because of the nature of it. But
yeah. But I was like, I was feeling in the mood for doing some bulk trading, and that's doing some rares. So I went off and I strapped on my quest, and I was doing the 3 rares run in my VR, and I fully accept I was working for a dickhead. But as you say, it was working all the time, so I did spend a couple of hours on Saturday, and then I felt very dirty with getting messages saying, you're now allied with people. I was like, oh, I'm just never going to live this down.
Yikes!
I know.
Allied with Azimuth couldn't be me.
But what I don't get, how the hell did I get allied with Azimuth? I'd never even been to that system before. I had to go scan the place to get it in.
You would have had some kind of relationship, because I'm assuming that you've managed to get a Moonbooney permit or something along those lines.
No, I've not. No, I've never been there before.
You might have. No, it wouldn't have been there. That system, it's Azimuth specifically. So, without going into how the game works, when the megaship jumped into that system, Azimuth have a presence within that system. Something strange happened, which has never happened before. Well, I can't remember it ever happening before when it left the previous system, but I might talk about that when we get to what happened in the news. But when it goes into that, they then have a presence. So if you've already built up some kind of relationship with Azimuth as it is, even if you're just neutral or friendly, it wouldn't have taken a lot of rares to get to Allied, to be completely honest.
Possibly.
They're trying to be friends with anyone nowadays.
They have to be. So yeah,
even
I
you,
do feel,
Ben, even you.
Even me. But yeah, I mean, just ignoring the fact who I was working for, I did have, I had a good couple of hours of fun in VR doing that. I was going to go and watch Indiana Jones on Saturday. And then I looked outside, I was like, there's no way I'm going out in that. I am not going out in that weather to go and walk a couple of miles to get to the cinema. It's just, I'm just going to stay in and play Elite instead. It was my birthday on Sunday.
Happy birthday!
So that happened. What else have I been up to? I think that's probably about it. Yeah, that's probably about everything, really.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. I have been in foreign parts. While it has been persisting down round here, I was in a lovely Lanzarote with 43-degree heat, which is too hot, and yes, cycling around the island looking for wine, which was a life lesson. I think that's the best way.
What part of you thought that was a good idea?
Well, you see, the thing was that the missus wanted this specific make of wine, and there's only one vineyard that does it. And I looked up on Google Maps, and it said, "Oh, it's only 12 kilometers away." So I went and hired a bike and thought, "That's fine." However, Google Maps doesn't actually tell you.
You're on Lanzarote. The place is a volcano.
Yes, and that was the thing. So put it this way.
What was the temperature?
It was 43 degrees.
Yeah, you don't want to be cycling up a hill in 43 degrees.
I wasn't cycling up a hill in 43 degrees. I was cycling up a mountain in 43 degrees.
You're cycling up a volcano in 43 degrees. And
on the plus side, you then get to a vineyard and you can neck a bottle of wine, and then it's downhill all the way home.
It's funny that 2.5 hours to actually get there, half an hour to get home.
That does not surprise me.
So yes.
How much water did you lose cycling there?
I left with 3 liters. I came back with half a liter.
Yeah, and how much was in your body?
I don't. I was still dehydrated at the end.
0%.
I was very dehydrated at the end of it, but I did get some wine, so that was a mission.
Oh yeah, that'll do the job. That'll rehydrate you perfectly.
I mean, at least I hope your wife appreciated it.
No, she thought I was an idiot.
Well, we all think that, but I hope she appreciated you doing it.
No, so yeah, so that's one of the things that I learned is don't trust Google Maps. The other thing that I learned was the karting is fun, and the heat. They've now got pay as you go in the air conditioning now. So apparently people were just leaving the air conditioning on in all the apartments. So now you've got to pay €1 to get the air conditioning working and it lasts about 45 minutes. So we went through so many euros.
You had to pay for the air conditioning?
Yes.
Motherfuckers, what the shit?
Seems reasonable to me.
That's abhorrent.
Well, no, because they turned around and said, "Listen, the main reason is what people do is they just take one of these cards or plastic or a beer mat and shove it into the the electric thing and leave the aircon on when they're out of the building.
Oh,
So-
I know what you mean. You've got that slot that you have to drop your room card into.
Yeah. So what's happening is basically they're looking and they're going, why are we coming up with an electricity bill in the millions here? And that's because they're running the aircon when basically they're running out of power. So, nope.
Well, that's
Put
bad
nine.
planning on their part, and not, and that like. Well, you warned of this before you
No.
went.
That was a bit of a
that's-
surprise.
That's the abhorrent part. If you're not making an informed decision to go somewhere, let's face it, notoriously in June and July, known to be particularly warm, and you're not going out there with the prior knowledge that you will also have to pay for your air conditioning, I think that is terrible.
I'd agree with that. However, even on a holiday, the Wi-Fi was good enough to use GeForce Now to be playing Elite Dangerous on my iPad, so I was still playing Elite Dangerous even though I was out there.
I've got a confession about
what?
GeForce Now.
Oh, go on.
Or the thing. You know, you were talking about Steam Link being really, really great for like playing Elite Dangerous on the go and all of that sort of stuff. That's what I think it was Ben. Sorry for interrupting. Steam Link's great on your phone. It's really, really good. I never play Elite on it, but in the middle of the night when I fancy playing a chapter of Phoenix Wright, it's fucking incredible. It's been really fun. So thanks for reminding me that existed. I appreciate it.
I don't suppose you've tried it over 5G or anything other than being on your network.
No, I don't leave the house, Ben. That would involve me leaving the house.
Yeah, I suppose. Okay, worth a try. Worth an ask.
No, and of course, since I've come back, I've reacquainted myself with my proper Elite account and put on my XR Elite over the weekend. And yeah, had a fantastic time, except for the problem is that I cannot find any of these Revenant missions. For the life of me, it's like the Orthrus all over again. I mean, I've been all the way through all the blooming maelstrom bubbles and stuff like that. Not one. You can see the planets with the icon saying, right, this is where we're doing the business here, but there's no missions to do the business with.
How bizarre. I don't know if I've just been lucky, but a few times I've done it, I've just gone to invasion systems and found a planet, a station without a cross through it.
This is the problem. There's no invasion systems. All the invasion systems...
Doesn't have to be invasion systems.
Well, this is the thing. I've been trying alert systems. I've been trying
alert is what
systems.
I meant, actually. Sorry, I meant alert.
Oh, I've been to alert systems. I've been to alert systems through the wazoo. Not a single one.
So on the AXI Discord, somewhere, I'm not entirely sure exactly where it is, they have a list of they have people who go around and take a look at the systems to see which systems are offering them, and they have a list on their Discord somewhere. I cannot remember where it is, but I was advised that. So that is third-hand information. But if you, rather than a fruitless exercise, maybe ask there. They're pretty hot at letting you know where they are. I will see if I can find out where it is though.
Oh, I do appreciate it because I did ask on the forums and I got some.
Forums are a silly place, Colin. Don't go there.
They're quiet. I'll say that. But they posted a video and I followed the instructions on the video and nope, still no luck. And I was there getting really frustrated. And then I thought they'd fixed this one, but I'm still coming across missions to restore the power to AXI hit settlements, and I'm still turning up, and they're already active. So I mean, what do you do when that happens? You just basically take the fine. At least you get a power regulator out of it, which is useful.
Yeah, true.
So I'm just building up the power regulators for my next engineered bit. But yeah. Oh, and I did manage to hit. I did hit a Odyssey planet when I was in my Horizons account on the iPad. I thought, well, I'll be able to land there, and then realised I couldn't. That's the first time that's ever happened. And I was there going, it was a bit of a shock. Anyway, so that, well, good grief, have we been talking for a while? Let's have a quick look at the development news. Well, so far there's not really been much, but we do know that this week on Thursday, 20th of July at 4 o'clock BST or 15 UTC, they are doing the monthly live stream. So we've got Arthur and Sally, we assume.
Woo!
What?
Woo!
Oh, woo! Oh, you're being happy, right?
Yes, I'm being happy.
Yay!
Even I sounded more convincing than that, for Christ's sake.
What have we been promised for this live stream? I can't remember.
More information about update 16.
Yes.
Cool.
So we know about the Gatherer type Thargoid ship. We know that's certainly in. But I was curious to what everybody thought, well, what they hoped the mainline feature would be. And personally, I'm hoping that we've got sort of conflict zones on megaships, as in first-person shooter conflict zones on megaship.
You mean based on that Galnet about running around looking at secret doors?
Yeah,
Nah. Well after Christmas.
Oh, you don't think we'll get that until well after Christmas?
Oh God, no. Oh God, like think about how long they've been talking about the elections and stuff, and now we're getting the elections like potentially at the end last quarter. They started talking about those elections well before they started talking about tunnels.
Are you saying the headline feature of update 16 is elections? Woo, that sounds exciting.
No. That's just something that's on the byway. But update 16 ain't going to involve walking around corridors for sure. It's gonna be
it's going to be
it's going to be the size. That's the main thing that they'll have in there.
I hope it's more than just the scythe.
Probably more ground missions of some kind involving the Revenants as well. Like a Revenant settlement raid would make sense to run alongside a reactivation mission.
Yeah. What about you, Alec? Is there something that you'd hope for?
Yeah, it's a good one, isn't it? Yeah. The only thing with the scythes, I guess, is I'm quite looking forward to an explanation as to why we should care about them siphoning up occupied escape pods.
Yeah, I must admit that though you could think that the more occupied escape pods that the sides pick up, that means it increases the Thargoids, just the way that we sample the Thargoids increases our ratings.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't know if you were joking, but yeah, that could be, couldn't it?
I'm not joking. I do feel that one thing that's got to happen at the moment is the Thargoid War has now got to. We're winning at the moment, or we're containing, and things are becoming normalized. I think they certainly need to up the ante again and make it scary again.
I've been a bit out of it because of rating and stuff, but it sounds like there's a bit of a stalemate from what I've been hearing, and actually people that are into their AX combat, ironically, given we're in the middle of a war with the Thargoids, are struggling to find any.
Yeah, I mean, I know that the loose screws love their Thargoid combat, but they've all given up. They've found the consortium homeworld, and they're doing BGS for the consortium.
Yeah, it's odd, isn't it? There's something a bit wrong there when a group that's really into their AX combat, and we're in the middle of a Thargoid war, and we're in the middle of a series of updates to the game whose entire focus is the Thargoid war, have got so bored with it that they've gone to do some BGS 10 gazillion light years away.
Yeah,
that's a red flag that maybe you need to, I don't know, do something Frontier.
Yeah, I mean, I've got my to-do list. I mean, I've still got to deal with an Orthrus. I've still got to encounter one of them. I've still got to do one of the Revenant missions, at least. So that's 2. And the third one is to actually get involved in a CG where I can take out glaives. Because I'm sick of glaives. I want some payback. I'm sick of them interdicting me, so I want to be able to shoot them for once instead of just running away. But yeah, I'm hoping that something turns up with the Titan as well. But
I tell you what I am looking forward to. I'm looking forward
Go
to
on.
lots more bug fixes because they seem to have really been on bug fixes recently and really good ones and digging into some of the old things that really annoy the community. So I'm hoping for a good 3 or 4 more juicy, good old
Well,
bug fixes.
yeah, I hope so because normally it works along the lines of do the release, get the release working. Then there's a dot patch that will fix any problems with the release, and then we get a dot patch, which will then fix anything wrong with the dot patch. And if there's any time left over, then they'll take stuff from the queue and just bang that on right at the very end. So as long as the first 2 patches are, well, the release and the first patch are good, then I think we've got a good chance of getting some extra fixes in. But if for some reason something doesn't seem to have worked right, then well, the priority is get the release
I
work.
see what you mean. They must have some bug fixes already in the pipeline though. Surely.
Oh yeah.
I hope so.
They
I
will
hope
do.
so.
They must do. They will do because it takes different devs to do different things, and there'll be different devs working on things that are basically bug fixes and not the new features.
Mm.
So there will be bug fixes in there.
Or quality of life. Alec.
Yeah, sorry. Quality of life.
Oh, that's triggered him. Right.
Um,
What about you, Ben? Is there something there that you would really like? I don't say ship interiors.
I'm just thinking actually of some. I know what I would really like would be something.
A left-handed joystick.
Well, yeah. Actually, I could configure my joystick to be left-handed, but no, that's not.
Ranger at the cockpit.
What I would like would be some features that have got absolutely nothing to do with the Thargoids, just to give people who aren't into the AX something this year.
Yeah, I mean,
but I've been, while you lot have been talking, I've been trying to rack my brain thinking, what non-Thargoid but new feature would I like to see? And
right.
I mean, there's the obvious, and I've been struggling because I mean, there's the obvious things like the Postman Patch Simulator rework and things like that. But I don't think we're going to get that, and I don't
No.
really want that.
No, we won't hear about that until the end of the year.
Yeah, I think I would love to see some new exploration things. But I'm trying to think what things could Frontier do to
I know.
to excite the community who goes out into black and looking for things.
Yeah, well, first, there's 2 things that I would like to see. First thing is basically the the planetary scanner where it comes back and it just comes back with this horrible.
Oh god, yeah, it's atrocious.
Yeah, it's atrocious because when you flip between science mode and combat mode, in combat mode, the planets look amazing. They really do.
Yeah, the heat map's horrible.
Yeah, but when you switch, well, it's not really a heat map. It's a
No,
blue map.
I use heat map
Yeah.
because that's kind of what people call it. But it used to be a heat map of sorts.
Yeah, I'd love them to be able to put that heat map back in. If you see what I mean, but also
I know what I would like actually. I think I would love them to give us the ability to actually land on volcanic worlds.
Oh, that'd be a lot of work, though, wouldn't it?
I don't know how much work it would actually be. This is, you need some form of lava things and hot stuff. But I don't know what else you'd need.
So basically, you want the floor as lava in Elite Dangerous.
Yeah, something like that, I think, and then you tie that in with other things. Because that's we've been told we're going to get these lava things since Horizons dropped.
Yes, they said we'll be working on other planetary types when we can.
So if they've been looking at this kind of thing a bit like they were looking at the Scarab, say, not the Scarab, the Scorpion, And if they've been playing with that in the background, maybe it's something they've had sitting there ready to go-ish and it just needs a little push. That would be a lovely thing. I'm trying to think. Something that isn't Thargoid combat related, basically, as a real feature.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love a looking for wing function. You know, you've got looking for crew for multi-crew, but I think a looking for wing function where you could help people meet up and wing up in the game would be great. I think you've got looking
System
for group.
chat, global chat, and Discord.
Yeah, but it's just you've got looking for group in every single other MMO, and it's just blindingly obvious that this game needs it in order, because we all know when it goes multiplayer, if you're in with a good group, it elevates the game.
Yeah.
So you know.
I mean, I'm saying this nicely. I don't think the game lends itself that well to a lot of multiplayer.
Yeah, but if you're only looking for 4 people or a group of
Yeah.
A wing, looking for wing, if you like, then I must admit it does the job. Well, it would need.
Yeah, I mean, I guess whenever I've done things, it's always either been an ad hoc group where I've got into I'm in a war zone and like I see there's a bunch of other people in the war zone, so like, hey, let's group up and we'll do that. I mean, it's not a bad idea. I'm just trying to think if it's something that I could see. I don't see the need for it. Is basically my personal feeling.
Yeah. Commander Turkarov has asked a question in the chat room. He sort of says, "Do you think we'll ever get any more planetary types now that Dr. K's left?"
Obviously.
She was the lead render person, so
yeah, she was 100% the person, one of the people who was instrumental in creating the Stellar Forge. There's no reason why there wouldn't be somebody else who is able to help implement and add code to the code that already exists.
Yeah, I would say not because Kay has left. Genius though she may be, there are more than one genius in the world that can do this kind of thing. But personally, no, I don't think so.
What, you don't think we're going to get any other planet types ever?
No.
Oh.
But do you agree with what Terakov is saying about Frontier's focus changing?
I feel like Elite is winding down a tad personally, and I think those big ticket items, I am not expecting any of them. There you go. There's a bombshell. And on that bombshell, good night, folks. Thanks for joining us. It's been fun. No, I don't think we'll get many more planet types.
Well, that's killed the conversation.
That's put down on it, isn't it?
I mean, there's nothing that you can say to that, is there? Other than,
no,
that's fucking stupid. I don't think that's the case at all. But I was going to try and be nice.
That's all right. No, it's all right. You can.
I mean,
I don't think it's a dead game, but I just don't think we will get new planet types.
No, I disagree.
That's cool. I hope you're right.
It would be I must admit, I will be a very pleasant surprise if we do. I'm hoping we do. It's just you can see that what they're focusing on at the moment is basically the Thargoid War. So we won't see anything new until after the Thargoid War is finished.
I just think that, they need to remember there's more of an audience there, other than people who are doing Thargoid combat.
Yes, they do.
I suppose one thing is I feel they're very focused on. Okay, I mean the current Thargoid War is maybe a one-off, and they may go back to doing other things, but it seems very focused on specific gameplay, very much a thing to do, and the kind of ticket items which are not specific things to do, like ship interiors and new planets, and dare I say it, new spaceships in a spaceship game.
Yeah.
They don't seem to be very interested in doing those sort of things anymore. If it ain't gameplay, if it ain't got a purpose and a function, and if they can't tie a story to it, they don't seem interested in just generally making the immersion, or whatever you want to call it, the atmosphere, the feel, the look of the game. They don't seem interested in doing that kind of work anymore.
No, I'm. So what kind of? I think if you have a new spaceship, then it has to have a reason to be. So what itches do you think the ships in game?
For me, I mean, I don't need. I've spoke about this in the past, but I mean, I don't need ships to fill niches. I mean, you go out on our streets and you look at the number of 4-door hatchbacks.
No, true.
You know, you're not going to say you only need one 4-door hatchback. People have different tastes. You know, there's an infinite number of ships you can make that would look different and people would buy. So yeah, it's a bit like the ship interiors argument. Well, it's very different, but it's kind of like you can have this very pragmatic. Unless there's a reason we're not going to do it. And that's where I feel Frontier are coming at. And there's another way of looking at it, your reason is you're just making the universe richer and more interesting, and people will find the gameplay and they'll just enjoy the game more. And Frontier really don't seem interested in doing
give
that
us more
anymore.
Lego blocks.
Didn't we have a like this year? We had 4 episodes where we talked solely about ships, right?
We have. Yeah.
Like, I feel like I'm living in some kind of strange fever dream. So didn't we come to the conclusion at the end of that we didn't need any extra ships?
Well, the thing
Wasn't that the conclusion that we all came to? Correct me if I'm wrong, by all means. But
because I mean, I didn't, because I made the point I've just made. But if you look at it from a purely functional point of view, you know,
all the rules are covered.
The slots are all filled. We've got a van, we've got a 4-door hatchback, we've got a Mini, we've got a sports car. Job done. No more cars needed. Thank you. I don't.
Yeah, but
subscribe to
Chris
that
is saying we
view.
need to go through all the ships yet again and just double check.
Oh, we are not
can we not?
doing
Jesus
that.
fucking
Please,
Christ, no.
I don't want to look at one horrible Frontier First Encounters model ever again. Well, horrible by today's standards, let's put it that way.
I will admit, I mean, if I was to see a 4-door hatchback by
I'd be surprised.
by some other manufacturer or something like that, I wouldn't exactly be all upset about it.
No, I mean, of course, actually,
if it looks cool, you know, I don't know. Let's say you had an Anaconda that was exactly the same stats as an Anaconda but looked cooler. Then
Imperial
maybe that'd be a good
Explorer.
thing.
Yeah, the Imperial Explorer with the 3 nacelles. Yes, that would be great.
Mhm.
But I think the main issue for that is obviously if they do put no ships in, that means no more ship skins. More ship skins
means money.
Yeah.
But would it pay enough for developing it? I don't know.
Yeah. Oh no, it definitely would. We'll leave that for the moment, I think. What we're going to do, if it's all right, we'll take a quick ad break, and then we'll come back with some of the community news of what people have been up to.
Protecting settlements from villainous scum, it's Settlement Patrolman. The action figure every child wants. Wearing the all-new Manticore Dominator suit with light-up jump assist thrusters. Press his backpack to hear Settlement Patrolman speak.
Not seen you around here before, Commander. Is that a Karma P15 in your pocket, or are you just pleased to see me? Hey, don't point that at me.
When alarms sound, Settlement Patrolman rides into action in his surface reconnaissance vehicle with pop-up turret and glow-in-the-dark wheel trims. Settlement Patrolman. Surface reconnaissance vehicle and action figure sold separately. Available from branches of Lave Toy Depot and other retailers. Microelectrode, ion battery, and circuit switch not included.
Oi, how you doing, my brother? So you run some data and you left your little sidey and you're starting to think about maybe a ship that can punch a little bit harder. Well, the Killback, the one with the little flappy wings, is just what the doctor ordered. It is multi-crew enabled and is the smallest ship with a fighter bay, so you can point and they will do your bidding. Ha! It's got 3 utility mounts, 2 small and 2 medium hard points, plus a whole batch of compartments. So if you want a bit of fun, grab a Killback, my son.
New from Azimuth Biotech, it's Tickle Me Thargoid. Tickle Me Thargoid is fun for all the family. Teach your little anti-Xeno commander the difference between an Orthrus and a Cyclops, a Basilisk and a Medusa.
Count the hearts. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a Cyclops.
Teach them their weakness and how to exploit them.
Now rip out the hearts. One by one. I don't want to.
Do it. Using the tool. Do it. Now stomp on its face. Smash its face in.
I've got them.
Tickle Me Thargoid. Available now from branches of Lave Toy Depot and other retailers.
And welcome back. Well, let's look through what the community has been up to for the last couple of weeks while we've been away. Well, the first thing that I noticed was that there is a YouTube channel called Space Doc, which normally does profiles on various science fiction spaceships and their tactical uses and criticisms and so forth. However, one of the things that they covered lately was the top 10 sci-fi FTL systems. Turns out that one of their favorites was the Culture systems. The Culture series books by Neil M. Banks have a hyperdrive system. That got the number 2 slot. However, we were at Elite Dangerous was at number 8. They highlighted a lot of the theoretical possibilities of the frameshift drive and the fact that it's dual use, i.e. supercruise for in-system and hyperspace for between system. They quite like that, and yes, a nice little video overall. Anybody else see it?
It did, and yeah, I mean, I agree. Aren't I right in thinking that the whole idea of supercruise came about as a sort of quite a sort of last-minute idea during the Kickstarter? Or...
Well, put it this way: it involved a lot of people in the DDF didn't like the original proposal, which was point to point.
Right.
So you jump in to buy the sun, and then you'd have a mini jump to you detect things in the system, and you'd go, okay, I'd like to fly to this USS here, or this USS here, or straight to the station.
I think Supercruise is genius. I really do.
I do think that I would prefer them to be able to jump between nav points. So you have nav points either around each of the stars, so you could do a mini jump between in big systems. But apart from that, everything else with Supercruise, I'm happy with. Ben?
So, I mean, I think basically the frameshift drive is based on essentially or as I see it anyway, two technologies.
Mm-hmm.
One is basically the warp drive or the Albuquerque drive, which is theoretically possible.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we get, obviously, for going FTL around the systems. And then the other thing is obviously our interstellar jump drive, which is basically that's using wormhole technology, which again, these are theoretically possible. And okay, it's been shoved into one convenient package that we call the frameshift drive, but basically it's two engines that are completely independent of each other, but both very theoretically possible.
Yeah, well, it's like Star Trek with impulse and warp. Impulse and warp power, isn't it? So, yeah, it's... the
warp drive is basically the Albuquerque drive, I always thought.
Yes.
And you're forming a warp bubble, and then you're traveling at sublight speeds within that, essentially surfing inside of your FTL thingy-bobbers.
Yeah, with a lot of magic, so that you don't have to worry about time dilation.
Please note, I am not a theoretical physicist. I don't know this shit.
No, you are not Sheldon Cooper, thankfully.
Yes.
Yeah. So, well, I was quite surprised that we even got a mention there, but
it was lovely to see.
Yeah.
And I mean, I get the feeling sometimes that the guy in Space Talk he's always talking about the Expanse, for example.
Yes.
And you can tell he's like, okay, hey, the Expanse is coming on, or there's a new book out, and he's all excited about the Expanse, and then he'll go off and review all the ships and things like that. So yeah, I thought that was, he's obviously, okay, the guy who does Space Dock also enjoys the Elite, and that made me smile.
I did like the fact that one of the things he did was he took all the fictional starfighters and did comparisons with them until they got to the final two. And it turned out it was the Viper from Battlestar Galactica versus the Star Fury from Babylon 5. And the Star Fury won.
Of course it did.
Yeah, and I quite like the fact that the Star Fury, NASA have been in contact with the people that designed the Star Fury to say, that is a really good design. Would it be okay that if we keep that?
They spoke to JMS back in the 90s about this. And they're using similar ideas for their sort of bigger EVA things.
Yeah. But yeah, that's real life.
If only we weren't doing, if only we were doing more exciting stuff than hanging outside the space station, there might be a use for it. And I'm not saying, what we're doing on the ISS is great, but let's dream bigger, guys.
Well, we're soon going to have a space station around the moon.
We are.
And all the rest of the stuff that goes with it.
Yeah, I've got my own feeling. I think anyone who doesn't have their own feelings about Artemis has not been paying any attention. Yes.
Yeah, let's get back to Kurgle.
Kurgle?
Kerbal, I meant. Kurgle.
Oh, and we could talk about Andy if you want. I'm sure. I spoke to Suverin the other day. He's doing okay.
Oh, yes.
So.
Yeah, I've seen him every now and again in game, which is nice to see. He says the game's fixed as far as he's concerned.
Yep. Anyway, so moving on.
Yes, moving on. Next, we have Commander Machen from the AXI, and he is demonstrating Thargoid Revenants versus flak cannons. I take it the Revenants explode quite happily under flak cannons.
Are we talking remote release flak launchers here?
I think so.
Cool.
I haven't had a chance to see this video yet, but it's a timed release one. I want to see this happening, so I'm gonna highlight that one. And have a look at it.
I'm sorry, I'm just skimming the video now. Yeah, it's fireworks. So cool. We can launch fireworks at Revenants. I actually have to try that.
Right, we have another Horizon music video by, everyone prepare yourself to take a drink.
Go for it.
Ulrigan Jürgensen.
I like the attempt to deal with the umlauts in some way.
Yes.
Terrible, Colin. If you're going to stop pronouncing people's names, learn how they're pronounced, mate. Jesus.
Osgun, that'll do.
Well, no one spelt it out phonetically, did they?
I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm sorry. I threw this in there, but I thought it was what I love about videos like this. It's a video of a commander on foot just walking towards the horizon. But it changes, so the planet and the horizon and the bodies that are in the sky and things change over the course of the video. But I've watched it quite closely, and the animation of the commander doesn't miss a beat. It's like perfect synchronization. It's so beautifully done, so this guy's just walking, and then the environment around him changes, but I can't see a single cut from one in-game command, and without kind of the ability to have presets on camera positions. I don't quite know how people do that.
The editing's incredible on that video. It's so good.
Isn't it? Yeah.
So good. I wonder if it's taken with a very big screen or very high definition, and then 1080'd for YouTube. That would be the way. If I had the screen capability for it, that would probably be the way that I would do it to give myself less of a headache. But it's stunningly beautiful, and
I tell you how I do it is So the way I did my little SRV art things, where I drew out stuff using SRV tire tracks, is I had this bit of software that could do a transparent overlay. So I'd find a nice bit of line art that I wanted to trace, and then I'd have that over a borderless Elite. So I literally traced it with the SRV.
That is absolutely the other way that you could do it, is with.
So what you do is you trace the outline of your commander
Yeah,
in your
yeah,
first
yeah.
footage, and then you just very carefully tweak the camera until it exactly matched, and then start
Yeah,
recording.
there's a program that will allow you to make your make certain windows like completely transparent.
Yeah.
Like slightly transparent, and that would also be another way that you do it.
Could you,
Very clever.
Could you not just make a macro on your keyboard to pitch up 90 degrees and scroll out
the camera
for
in the same
I wouldn't
position,
trust
maybe?
it. I wouldn't trust it to be.
I don't know.
Wouldn't trust it to be perfect. Rather than, I wouldn't trust a macro over my eye actually fully lining the person up.
You know, it'll be cool. Frontier camera presets.
Would be nice.
Yes, please.
Lovely.
Or lava planets, whichever takes your fancy.
Now, obviously, for me being away for the last while, I haven't been anywhere near the forums. I feel so much cleaner now.
Yeah.
But there's this thread called "The Name of the Game."
Yeah, I threw this in as well. We were short of news last week, so I threw a couple of. Do you know what caught my? Occasionally, you get a thread like this. I've sort of encountered the guy subsequently. So this is a chap called William who's been doing. He's been really getting into buckyball. He's been really sort of enthused and motivated by buckyball. He's now subsequently joined Newton's Gambit and is really getting into flight assist off flying. And this is just a forum post trying to express kind of just how excited he is by, discovering a new way of playing the game and the enthusiasm of groups like Buckyball Racing Club and Newton's Gambit. And it's just a joy to read. Because occasionally the enthusiasm of somebody that's completely not jaded like me comes along, and it's really inspiring, and it's a lovely read.
Yeah, I must admit, I do get every now and again you do get someone posting on the forums saying, "Why are you lot all complaining? This game is fantastic."
Yeah, and I always love those because they do genuinely, incentivize you and remind you and inspire you, and you think, God, you're right. Yeah, why was I so down? It's fantastic. And the next time you launch the game, you just feel better about it. I do anyway. Yeah, I love threads like that. And I put the next one in as well, if you don't mind.
Okay.
I might as well
go on and just go straight with a new approach to an anarchy map farm.
Actually, no, I'll come on to that. But the other thread was handcrafted planets post-Odyssey. And it's one of those threads, and it's of vaguely relevant to what we were talking about somebody saying, why don't they just handcraft some planets so they're a little bit less boring and tedious? And, so it starts off with perhaps a slightly naive assumption about game development and how easy it is to handcraft planets. But it's actually not a bad forum thread to read. There's a lot of toing and froing on why it's difficult, and there's a lot of good stuff about procedural generation, and there's some nice examples from Minecraft of what is and isn't possible, and there's stuff about procedurally generating cities, and so it's good. It's one of those forum threads that didn't immediately die in a vat of sarcasm and salt, and kind of managed to survive it and had some good input. So, I guess it'll be in the show notes. It is or was worth a read. I don't know where it's at now. I haven't been back to it recently.
Gotcha. Right. And then finally, there's the new approach to the Anarchy map farm, which is basically it's a good guide to pulling out a lot of things which are difficult to get.
It's kind of genius. Has anyone been there? I mean, this was on the Burr Pit stream a couple of weeks back, but I didn't know. Maybe Psychic, you might know more on this than me, but I didn't realize that if you the way factions come into conflict in the BGS is when their influence is roughly equal. Is that right?
No, it's when they own an asset and one of them jumps over. If there's an asset involved by either party and one of them jumps over the other, So if their influence raises above the other, if it crosses the other one and there's an asset involved, the influences will both lock, and that will cause a conflict. Whether that is an election or a war is wholly dependent on the type of government.
Okay, so what they've done here in an anarchy system is they've pushed this anarchy faction who owns 3 spaceports and 44 settlements down to 1% influence, which effectively makes them invulnerable unless they happen to rise back up again. Which means that if you want to go and do your anarchy settlement mat farming, then this is a sort of one-stop shop, because you've got, like I say, 3 spaceports and 44 settlements, all owned by an anarchy faction, and you can just go gun crazy and steal everything they own.
So there's a reason why there's quite a few of these little pockets of these NPC anarchy factions that have been set up, because like we joke about Ares Mine, we have the advert for Ares Mine, we have all of that nonsense now. Ares Mine, the anarchy faction that owns Ares Mine, is player controlled. So every time we as players go to somewhere like Ares Mine, or we go to an anarchy faction that is a player-owned anarchy faction, and we're going to Ares Mine and killing everybody there, that has a negative effect on the influence of that faction. So basically, when Frontier did the BGS revamp that they did, well before Odyssey, there was a BGS revamp. It really, really did a lot of work to fuck anarchy factions. And then Odyssey coming in, and the more ways, the fact that you can go and kill people at an anarchy faction and you don't get bounties. You don't get a bounty and all of that sort of stuff, has made it doubly hard for anarchy factions to grow on those lines. It takes an awful lot of work to get an anarchy faction up and running in a permanent position. And that's where, speaking of, that's kind of the thing that that all the PvP players were kind of focused on last week, was doing stuff like that. But that's why there's been these groups of commanders making these pockets of NPC owned faction anarchy spaces that you can go to that aren't player owned, to give the player owned factions time and opportunity to build where they need to, if they can.
Yeah, that's the CD-512650 system, which they've managed to get a stable.
Well, that said, I hadn't spotted this because I haven't been following the story, but breaking news or not from Helmut Grockenberger is that it didn't work. So pretty much, what does he say? It barely lasted a day after the Burr video. The Anarchy faction is now at 15%.
The reason being for that is because it was signal boosted. So a lot of people went to the same place and they went, oh, okay, we're here. When I land at this station, maybe I'll turn in my data. And because the faction is, if you turn in your data at that system, without knowing it, you are doing positive actions to change the influence of that faction. So it kind of needs signal boosting, like, yeah, go and do all of the things that you need, grab all of the shit that you need, but don't drop your data off. Don't do missions there and all of that stuff. Do something as like something that a lot of people do, just flying around the galaxy, that don't know that this is don't play the BGS and don't have those kind of those tendencies, and don't have it drilled into their skull exactly where they need to hand in that data, will just get to a station and go, oh, I've got data, I can hand it in. And that's where the problem is. That's why they're on 15% now.
Fascinating.
No. So does this mean that this batch of people will have to try their hardest to get it back down to 1% then? Potentially
so. It shouldn't be. I don't know whether there's a faction underneath them now, but if the system is if it goes to less than 7% and something crosses, then it won't cause a conflict, so they won't have to fight for all of those systems. Because fighting for settlements, fighting for a lot of settlements in one go is a bit of a pain when you're then only a handful of you doing it. It is a lot of a job. So it's kind of like, okay, we need to There's a lot of I imagine there's a lot of stuff that they're working on and making sure that it does go back down again. But maybe like a lovely helpful PSA to go, actually please don't pop your data there. That would be great. Actually, I'll do it. Please don't drop your data there if you go. That would be great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, because in Isla Bula, which there is actually a player faction that does undo that damage that they do, and they do that quite a lot, which is
that's RA's mine. That's what I was talking about.
Yeah, so that's you lot then.
No. That's RA's mine. That's literally what I just said. Was this is the reason why the people have created these is because places like Array's Mine and stuff like that have player factions, and that's why we want to make it not player factions, so we're not random people aren't just going to Array's Mine and fucking up other factions' gameplay.
Right. Well, moving on from there. Obviously, Alec, there was a buckyball meet on Saturday that we were hoping to mention, but we missed it.
It was, actually, there was. We haven't really done this before. Buckyball, as many will know, does time trial races for all sorts of reasons. You know, it crosses time zones. People's time is valuable, so they can't always make live in-game meetups. And the way Buckyball works is we run our races for a week, and people submit their runs as and when they fancy. It's always worked very nicely for us. It crosses platforms as well. Anyway. Been a lot of chatter in the Buckyball Discord about actually doing some live races just for fun, just meeting up. And we finally got round to doing one. Interestingly enough, this was actually partly inspired by William, who I mentioned earlier on in the Name of the Game forum thread that he posted. So because of his interest in flight assist offline as well, he's been looking for some nice planets with really good canyons to go hooning around and stuff. And he found an absolute doozy right in the heart of the bubble. Wolf 1060 5C, quite beautiful. It's got these fantastic sort of blue, like the cracked mud effect that you see on some Odyssey planets where people find canyon. It's got those, but they're like this amazing blue color, which I've never seen before. Anyway, so we found I was there with William and I was looking around and I found this lovely little pair of mountains that just made this fantastic figure 8. So we thought, what the hell? And we had a live meetup. We had more than I expected. I guess we had about at least 20 people turn up. I was very wary of numbers because one of the issues the Burr Pit run into this is that if you start getting up towards 30, then people can't get out in their SRVs and things because each vehicle is a separate thing in the instance. And if everyone gets out, you're suddenly doubling the number of things, if you know what I mean. But anyway, we had 20 and it worked really well in instancing-wise. We had a bit of shenanigans at the beginning to get everyone in. And then we had nearly 2 hours of... Well, one thing we did, which was really good fun, is we had mixed SRV and ship. So we had like heats of SRV racing, obviously down at ground level, and simultaneous heats of ship racing above them. So you're herring round in your SRV, doing your own little race, but there's ships zooming overhead as well. So it was really spectacular. And had nearly 2 hours. The funniest thing we discovered, the SRV racing was great. We did one lap of the figure 8 for the SRV race. But for the ships, I sort of decided that between 8 and 10 ship laps would take the same amount of time as a decent SRV circuit. So I basically said, okay, the ships, you guys do 8 laps and we'll do 1. And it turns out when you're racing, everybody loses count instantly. So nobody had the slightest clue which lap they were on. So I don't really have any winners to declare. People just went round and round for 2 hours having a great laugh.
Lovely. I'm just going to go a quick shout out to Ghost Giraffe because I saw his stream recently. He was celebrating the fact he just got into the partner program. But what got me, and this is only because it is ultimately geeky, he was doing his head tracking, but the hardware he was using to track his head, if you like, was a Google Glass. Now, for those of you who don't know what Google Glass was, 10 to 10, is it almost 10 years ago now? Google came up with this idea of we're not going to have mobile phones anymore. We're all going to wear this Google Glass, which is basically heads-up display with a camera on it. And they came out with prototypes, which cost an absolute fortune. And all us tech people got really excited about it, and everybody else hated it because the camera was always on. But it turns out it's very good at a head tracker.
I don't think that's why people hated it. They hated it because you looked like a knob.
Mm-hmm.
So, and let's face it, these days, none of us can say anything about complaining about the camera's always on because your phone camera, even if you're not recording, it's on. So anyone who's moaning about stuff like that these days have got nothing to talk about, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is someone doing a crucifix on the top of that SRV?
Are you looking at the picture?
I'm looking at the picture.
I think they're pointing.
Oh, they're pointing. Right, fair enough. Sorry, I need stronger glasses. Right. Now, also, ECM 2023 has more details. Vintian has released a lot more details about what is happening at the St. Anne's Manor Hotel in Woking on the 19th of August. There are 10 tickets. Actually, it's less than 10
It's less than 10 now, I think, yeah.
Yeah. So
actually, I think it might even be less than 5.
Oh, almost sold out.
Get 'em while they're hot, lads.
Mm-hmm.
And lasses. And in between. There are more details available at communitymeet.info, but here's an existing list already. There's social gaming, which includes Gang Beasts, Wii Mario Karting. People are bringing along their Oculus Quests for challenges. They've got Artemis, which is the bridge simulator, the Ascot Suite. There's a full motion VR rig with some CQC.
They also have a bucket for that as well.
So, but that is it full 360 or is it just?
It's basically, it's like, those rides that you get where it'll tilt up left, right, depending on.
Oh, so right, it's Afterburner then.
That I think it's that kind of idea. If it's the guy who took one last time,
mm-hmm.
I mean, it worked bloody well.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's basically like those, like the flight simulators that you get, but it's not. Obviously, it can't do complete turn in a 360 degree. Just like banks up and right and then left, and it works well enough.
Excellent. Well, I'm going to have to give that Xbox CQC. And then they've got a massive retro section, which is, well, there'll be Elite on the BBC Micro, Acorn Electron, Arc Elite will be available, NCS Elite, Amiga 1200, Frontier Elite. So it'll be Frontier, not Elite 2, Commodore 64, Spectrum 128, Spectrum Next, Avive, and all the others. But this is new. There's going to be special guest Norman Lovett. Him through
Who is Norman Lovett, Colin?
He is Holly from Red Dwarf, and also he is also voice packs. We have which one is he in the game, and which one is he in the HCS voice packs? I can't remember. I'm not going to look it up because otherwise we'll be here for absolutely ages. We've got the team from.
Actually, just told us it's Leo.
That's Leo. There you go. Thank you. So have your Holly-related questions at the ready. The team from Frontier Developments will be joining in with the gaming. We've got Beetlejuice doing live art. The event has a build of 2 Lego SRVs for the raffle. Totally blank quiz. Hutton Orbital live. Brace yourselves. Dockers live. A Mr. Pitcher and his magic metal etching machine. Get your dog tags. And there's a whole load of board games as well, including chess, Zombicide, Elite Miniatures games, Star Wars Miniatures games, Elite Battle Cards, LCU New Fool Like One's new Elite game, whatever that is, cards against just about anything, and an assorted amount of board games like Ticket to Ride, Above and Below, etc., etc. And you also have lunch, which is included, and there's a barbecue-style dinner, which is an optional extra.
I can tell you something about LTU's thing if you want.
Can we say that to next time? Because I think we're running out of time at the moment. So yeah, it looks like it's turning up to be a quite a nice, fully packed day.
Quite chunky.
Yes, quite chunky. Really nice to see Artemis there again. Mind you, judging by our efforts at Bridge Crew, Ben, I don't think we should be flying it. Was that follow orders? I don't think we will. Okay, so let's move back to... Oh, yes, before we forget, back to Commander Alec Turner, because this weekend, starting this Saturday, what is it?
There's a new buckyball race, race number 4 in the championship. We've talked enough about buckyball tonight. It is called Double Trouble. It starts this Saturday. You will find a huge forum thread about it because it's very simple on the surface. It's 3 systems, each with a station and an installation to visit. But everything has bonuses. You can do all sorts of bonus shenanigans for 2 minutes here and 4 minutes there. So
do Team Rockets blast off again?
It can be very simple, but you can make it very complicated if you like. And
isn't that true with everything?
Yeah. I could talk a lot about this, but I won't. Go and look it up on the forum. Start Saturday, runs all week.
Excellent. Well, no, we'll get a progress report next week.
Yeah,
and you'll all be able to laugh.
Yeah,
because I'll be Commander Slow again. Oh dear. Anyway, going quickly through the in-game events of what's happened this week. On Monday, the 10th of July, Azimuth has decided to plan a corporate convention. So this is an invitation-only event for people who would like to help out Azimuth. Yeah, that sounds fun.
People of note was of their that they mentioned. I believe they mentioned the woman who, the head of the company who was looking after Tessero when Aegis disbanded. So who might have a fair amount of information, and they were name dropped in that article. I think also Operation Witch Hunt were also name dropped. I think first one in 3309. Yay! But
you mean to say you didn't get an invite, Si?
It was these people who took all of Tessero's research. So there's no. It's not surprising that Azimuth would like to get into bed with them. That's the only reason I bring it up.
Yeah. Azimuth doing, yes. There's also, is this one still going? The deliver rarities for Azimuth.
It's completed.
Oh, it's completed.
The deliver rarities completed yesterday at 100% because of course it would do because they had such a low bar. But it's important to note for that one that it wasn't a deliver these things so that we can release the shiny. It was or deliver these things so we can make the shiny. It was deliver these things for the party because you're getting the shiny even if we fail, kind of thing. So that was it was just interesting to note the wording and the choices that they've made with that particular CG, potentially maybe over fear of it failing and there not being enough support for Azimuth to actually create a weapon. But of course there would be enough support for at least it to get to tier 1 because people do shit like that all the time. People will just go, oh, I want the shiny weapon and do that. But yeah, it's 100%.
Yes. Morals go out the window when they want a big, nice, shiny gun. Does seem to be. Right, and finally, yesterday on the 17th, the presidential candidates outlined their manifestos. Now, this was another debate which was more closely moderated than the first debate in June. The candidates discussed their campaign in detail, this time with minimal interruptions from their rivals. So it was mostly the Republican Party saying that we're going to protect everybody, regardless of regardless of your human rights. Well, the other one is we're going to protect everybody, but we will include your human rights. So that would be the Liberal Party. And then finally, we've got the independent candidate says, right, okay, free money. So yes, that's the federal debate. The federal debate in in 3 syllables or less. Now, it's that time of the week again for a quick store alert.
Store alert!
In the bi-weekly newsletter, here come paint jobs for your art. In the bi-weekly newsletter, here come paint jobs for your art. A store alert, a store alert, a store alert, a store alert, a store alert. Which one will you buy? A store alert, 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 a store alert. Which one will you buy?
And welcome back. Well, after all that, there's not really much happening with the store itself. They are highlighting the hazmat kits again. So if you haven't seen the hazmat kits, they're really good for lighting up an area. However, HCS voice packs have announced a new expansion pack for exobiology. Now, this also includes Brent Spiner, who that would be the legendary Commander Data from Star Trek: The Next Generation, yes. And every time you discover new exobiology, there's more commentary on what that plant is, how it's made up, and they really do add a little bit of extra atmosphere to plant scanning. To be honest,
Yeah, I can imagine this one being really good, actually.
Yeah,
really
it is. Yeah, it's. I mean, oh, good grief! How many out of these blooming packs have I got now? I think I'm on 8.
Can I ask a question about the voice packs, actually, that I've always wondered? Because I tend to play very early in the morning, I have to generally be a little bit quiet because the family are asleep. How much value can you get out of a voice pack if you're not actually speaking to it?
It depends on the voice pack. If you have these voice packs like Vega and some of the scientific-based ones, they will actually explain the various planet types and like exobiology, the plant types, and all that kind of stuff when you scan them.
Right.
The problem with it is that after I think the 50th time you've heard them explain what a class 3 gas giant is, you kind of switch it off.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, I really do enjoy it. It's just that
Yeah.
thankfully you can actually the HCS voice packs, the interface for it is very sophisticated now, and you can actually switch off these little bits so they don't wind you up as much as they used to. So yeah.
Does Leo make any comments about when you're scanning Uranus?
You mean like in Mass Effect 3? Oh no, it's Mass Effect 2, isn't it?
It could be. He could say anything. I'm just thinking Norman Lovett doing something deadpan about Uranus would be great.
Oh dear. I do know that in Mass Effect 3 they've got Tricia Halfa just going, really? You want to do this? And the second time you send a probe, it says, okay, scanning Uranus. In that kind of... I quite enjoyed that joke. Right. Now, obviously, we have put out a question of the week, and it's been a question of the 2 weeks, really. And we've had quite a few responses. And the first thing that we had was the question was hints and tips for new and returning players. What is your favourite hint and tip? And first of all, we've got oh, good grief.
The fire.
Thank you.
It's easy. It literally is pronounced the way that it looks. I should say, I'm not only putting them on Twitter now, I'm also putting them in Discord. There are threads in Discord. So if you don't have a Twitter, you can also go and answer the question of the week when it's in Twitter as well.
Oh, shall we add it to threads as well?
Why? Because we don't have an Instagram account, so we can't do that.
Well, she says...
I think we do have an... Oh, sorry, Colin.
Yeah, it's sort of some I wish I knew tips on exploration. You spend a lot of time in the ship you take, so choose the one you like flying. Most destinations you might pick on your first trip won't need a maxed jumper-conda and are reachable with decently built explorer ships too. If in doubt about a system, check them on EDSM. Hard to reach ones are often mentioned in various routes or their minimum jump ranges. Yeah, the EDSM is still a phenomenal tool. I don't think I could have managed my trip to Colonia without it, because I need to find out where all the mega ships and the bases are, and I've already got lost once or twice. Also, if you need to fast travel via the neutron boosts, you're in a less well-traveled space, so route plotters like Spanish don't work very efficiently. Go above or below the plane until you find a neutron stars, and then stay on this height until you're closer to your destination. Just don't forget to exclude white dwarfs. That's very true. Some very good hints there.
Yeah.
Go on, Alec.
No, I was just going to say no. It's some good stuff in there. It's sort of a little bit out of the normal kind of more obvious hints on there.
White dwarfs suck.
Sorry.
White dwarfs suck, baby.
Yes, they do.
I like white dwarfs, but that's just me being weird.
Yeah, I mean that was all just a quick win, wasn't it? Supposed to be white dwarfs where you're supposed to get a bigger jump.
Yeah, I think it was
a star.
And then, it was like a decimal point was moved or something, and then everyone went, no, don't change it back, man. We need it. We need the long range.
Yeah, it was something daft like that. So it's quite ironic that the more difficult ship star to navigate doesn't give you the biggest range jump.
Indeed. Yeah.
It's one of those little elitisms.
For anyone that's only jumped around the bubble a bit and only ever encountered white dwarfs and has built up an aversion, yeah, if you go further afield and run into neutrons, you don't need to be nearly as scared of them. The little exclusion zone is tiny, and so the arms, the bits. Yeah.
You can practice Jackson's Lighthouse.
Indeed, which
close enough
features
to home.
in this week's Buckyball race. Woohoo!
We've got Cheb's Will, also from Discord. For new players, don't rush to get that next ship/engineering mod. Just enjoy the galaxy. If it's returning players from a long time back, just enjoy driving around on planets.
That's a long time back. So before Horizons, I think he means that.
Yeah, that. I don't think there's any players who haven't come back since Horizons was enabled.
I had someone come and say I haven't played for like 6 years. And they were like, they said I left just before the SRVs came in. That was about 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my God, there's so much for you to discover.
Oh, no. Yeah, there was someone on the forums actually who asked, right, okay, I've got standard Elite Dangerous. What does that get me now?
Yeah.
And I was there going, wow.
Yeah.
So long ago. Yeah. Frank 87, straightforward, inara.cz.
Love it. Straight to the point. Fantastic.
Yeah. Commander Dirk Hatch, try everything, but do it at your own pace. There's no rush, and most of all, importantly, savor the little ships. He does have a point. I mean, one of the good things about Odyssey is that it has reignited my passion for the small ship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, flying around in a Cobra is now a valid option again.
Yeah, they're great. Is that because you're basically looking to get to places where you're going to do on foot stuff, and so just something that'll land is convenient?
Basically, yeah. And on
Yeah.
some of these places that they've only got small pads.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, I know you can land next in your big anaconda.
Yeah, but it's difficult though, because like it's easier to land a small ship in the proximity of a station. Even if you're not planning on landing at the station, it's a lot easier to land a small ship rather than finding a place that doesn't have a single rock that makes it fully unsuitable for the whole anaconda. Or Corvette, like the better choice. But it's just funny.
Yeah, I just find it funny with people who do manage to land next to these small settlements, and the blooming anaconda's almost as big as the settlement. And you suddenly realise that ship is quite big. And also the fact that it takes so long to go from one end to get to the blooming disembarkation point and the lifts. Just no, enough of that. Right, we've got Commander Greybeard Seawolf. Enjoy the game. It is not a race. There is no end game, so take your time and experience it all. Grind is a choice you make and is not necessary. Learn to fly your ship manually. Even after 5 years of playing, I still get a buzz landing at a station, settlement, or planet. Yeah. It's funny that on the forums they were mentioning stuff. Can we have more cozy content? This seems to be a trend that's happening in MMO games at the moment. People are demanding cozy content, which is basically chill out content you can relax to, so you're not on edge all the time. I think Elite Dangerous has got that in spades at the moment.
Yeah,
anyway.
I do too. Yeah, here to that. I think it can be a very chilled game. Kind of mining, exobiology, just gathering materials in the SRV, just flying around. Yeah, it's got it in spades.
And that's the thing, because I've found driving about lately, I've just actually enjoyed the experience, even though I know I've got to get all these mats for what I need later, but I just thought, oh well, you know what? I'll just see what happens, and I found it quite a relaxing experience, especially when in solo or Mobius, because you're not on edge looking for the triangles. Elvis Kremen, get into the habit of honking every system, regardless if you have been there before or not, so it becomes automatic. Target every ship in front of you as if you're flying around for free engineering data.
Not as you're flying around.
That's right. Misread that. Need new glasses.
That is great, that second one. That's one that I tell people occasionally, because sometimes I'll hop around on Twitch and I quite like tuning into people that are brand new, and have one viewer, and that's one I commonly sort of suggest, is just target every ship and let the little scan resolve, and ka-ching, little bit of data.
Yeah,
I even do it when I'm buckyball racing. It's like habitual. It's like honking.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone else does this. I bet we all do. But I must have honked in Shinra to Desra like 5,000 times. I know I'm not going to get any more data, but it's just there in my muscle memory. Jump into system, honk.
Excellent. Right, we have Little Begin. Never fly without rebuy. I think that is the number one rule in Elite Dangerous, isn't it?
Amen.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Then there's sacrilege. There is no free anaconda at Hutton. We all know it's 100
That's
credits.
true. It's 100 credits.
No, that's so fucking old.
Healthy lie.
Ugh.
If you play in open, not every player you'll meet will be friendly. Very true.
Can I also say just to that, if you play an open, not every player you meet will be a dick either.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah, but
actually, I found it's
implied. That's implied by saying not everyone will be friendly.
Yeah, but I do feel open gets a bad rep, and I've had more positive things in open than negative.
Yeah, and I think it's as long as you avoid Desiat and as long as you avoid the CGs in
And
open.
Shannata Desra can be quite scummy as well, to be honest.
Yeah, that's full of elite scumbags.
Yeah.
They're all too busy polishing their Corvettes to notice anybody new.
I don't think you're right there. Actually, I got.
No, that's my experience.
No, I got chased down in Shannata Desra over the weekend.
The first people who go to Shindes are the people who have unlocked exploration elite, because let's face it, that and trade are the easiest ones to get, and you don't need to have a beefy ship for that. And if you go to Shindes and you get
rinsed.
Yeah.
I know, but this one is very important. Little Biggin says, "Oh, and never be worried about asking questions." Now, this is very true about the Elite Dangerous community. It is probably one of the most friendliest online communities that I've come across. And yes, we do have we do have our trolls, and we do have our drama queens, but the vast majority of players I found to be incredibly helpful, and
Sorry, Colin, just talking about trolls. You pick up the voucher for the Anaconda at Hutton Orbital, and you have to redeem it at Beagle Point according to Ephesus.
And we'll just call on Billy Goat's Gruff there. So yeah, right. Eran 237, trying to show his mother how to learn to play the game. She's only done Minecraft, and here's what I started her with. Learn your key bindings. You will make mistakes. You will have to rage quit at the game at some point. Have fun. Ask more questions than you think. Fair enough.
There's a theme running through these, isn't there?
Yes, there is. There's nothing, Commander Frosty Jack, there's nothing left to explore. It's a myth. Docking computers are cool. Right, fair enough. Commander Wobbly, I love this. Engineering, full stop, is, full stop, not, full stop, essential.
I needed the claps. Engineering is not essential. Needed
Actually,
clapping so hard.
Claps work better.
It needed clapping so hard on that one. It might not be essential, but it's really bloody nice.
Wow, there are so many of these. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We've got next Angus. It's a kind of a theme forming out of all these responses.
Yeah.
It's the journey, not the destination. That Raxler is the friends you make along the way. In combat, rehearse your get out of hell dodge maneuver for when things goes wrong. I do believe that's drop the. Does the dropping the cargo scoop and boosting, or boosting and dropping the cargo scoop, does that still work? Or did they patch that out?
Yeah, no. If you drop your cargo scoop, and you can then use that to suddenly break you and do a flip and burn. Yeah.
Yeah, so that still works.
Yeah, it requires a lot of skill, but it does work.
I don't know whether or not they patched half of those maneuvers out. Remind Frontier that in their Kickstarter they promised ship interiors. Sometimes it slips their mind, and they love to be reminded.
Jesus Christ! Please don't do that.
I promised.
Please don't do that. Ugh.
Camel number 1.
Can I just say this next one is wild to me. I don't see how anyone could get into Elite with this mentality. But anyway, go on.
New commanders. Never take advice from other commanders. Always learn by doing. Keep extensive notebooks on your adventures, and they will serve you well, and you will come to publish your expose on the real search for Raxler.
And this wasn't like, honestly, this is a serious comment. This isn't like sarcasm, but the idea of never taking advice from another commander, I think half of the people who started later wouldn't be playing. I certainly wouldn't be playing if I didn't ask some questions, because back when I started playing, there was no way of being able to complete the game. There wasn't even the slightest amount of tutorial.
Yeah, it wasn't really a steep learning curve. It was a steep learning inverted cliff.
Perhaps where he's coming from, there is this aspect of letting people tell you which is the best ship and that kind of thing. And so there's a point there. I mean, don't let people tell you which is the best ship.
I'll agree with you there. I think,
general advice on how to do shit.
Take the advice, but then
an
also
awful lot of good advice out there. But
yeah.
You've
don't let
got
people
to
tell you how to
apply
play
your
the
own
game.
experience too, don't you?
Dear. Like, we're not going to tell people that their fun is wrong, but
if you're flying the Anaconda, you're doing it wrong. Sorry,
not
the Anaconda, the Adder. Sorry.
Not only that, but we all have our opinions, and I'm not gonna tell somebody that's flying a ship that I really dislike that it's a shitty ship and they shouldn't play the game and they should feel bad, even if I think that. But it's that mentality of not even speaking to other people for advice, because as you say, Colin, this game thrives on the community, and we have a whole host of folks who are so willing and just lovely, and a range of streamers who are all like, ask me any question and I will drop everything and help you out.
Yeah. I mean, how can you have that when you've got the fuel rats in this game? That's the ultimate people, the fuel rats and the hospitals. Without those, you don't get that in other games. Real Dan Fitz. Put the term grind out of your head. If you find it a grind, you're not doing it right. Everything comes easy with the right knowledge and understanding. Do your own research and ask established members of the community for help. Which is a complete point.
Phew! Look at the flipping coins right here. This one was quite contentious as well. There was a reply to this. I didn't include it because the reply was like, "Nah, mate, it's a grind." And Dan said back, "Thanks for your interaction." it was textbook. I'm not engaging with this. It was great, but it was. I really appreciated it.
Thank you for sharing it with the group. We will put a pin in that and come back to it later. Eagle Fox, if it gets boring, try again a different way. There is no rule. Even fly without rebuy. No risk, no fun.
I'm gonna not. Well, I don't agree with that. I remember there was one time when I was just starting out, and I'd only just gotten the Type 9, and I didn't, and I had the rebuy for a Type 9, but then I filled up on, say, low temperature diamonds or something like that. And I was like, shit, do I half fill this and still have the rebuy money, or do I not? And I filled the Type 9 up, and my God, my butt was clenched all the way to my destination.
Yeah, I bet that was one of the most exciting flights you've ever had in the game.
It really, really was. So whilst I don't agree with not flying without a rebuy, it was memorable.
Clench.
Oh yeah.
You get up and take the chair with you.
Right. I will admit this, and this is something I'm not proud of. I got to a T6, and I flew without rebuy, and somebody jumped me.
Oh.
Yeah, and I was in a Sidewinder. And I'm ashamed to admit it because I'm always the one that's nice and safe. I don't take too many risks, and then this is the one time I did, and I got punished for it. So it's not a nice feeling. It's not a nice feeling when all of a sudden you go from something like a T6 back down to the Sidewinder. Oh, it's a bitter pill to swallow that. Right, yes. So he also adds ask and search. There is a lot one will only figure out with a lot of work. Someone teaches you some basic maths too. Okay. Viking Zero, have fun and do whatever you feel like at the moment, which is fair enough. Again, Tyler with the never fly without a rebuy is the biggest tip you can get. Yeah, I think we've gone over that. And then we have this essay by Commander Indigo.
It was like 7 different tweets. The legend.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll start with the first one. Let the game teach you new things. We talk about the learning cliffs and the grind, but if the game requires you to mine or explore to unlock something, embrace it. Somebody out there loves part of the game enough to make it their main thing. You might too. Now, I will say that I agreed with that, because one of the things that I had to do lately was obviously grind to get my corrosive 16-ton cargo rack. And I thought, I'm going to hate this. I'm going to hate this. I know what I've got to get. I've got to go and get meta alloys. I've got to get... The thing was, when I went to get the meta alloys, I had that one of the first, where the Thargoid comes down and refuels. That's the first time I've ever seen that live in game. Yeah. And it was awesome. And if it wasn't for this bit, I would have never seen that. So yeah.
Yeah, dead right.
Yeah. Turn off your docking computer, or better yet, leave it at home. Whether flight assist on or off, it will make every landing a mini game. Your piloting skills will improve quickly, and there are things that will make the game more fun than flying well.
Yeah, well said.
Mm-hmm. Get to know these less documented built-in key commands. Use Control-Alt-G to turn on and off your HUD. The screen has so much information, sometimes it's nice to shut it all down and just enjoy the space and terrain around you unobscured, which is good. F10 to capture screenshots, and Alt F10 to take super duper high resolution screenshots. The latter only works in solo and private group though. Yeah, that's one of the things that I did when I came across that, as I took a high resolution photo, and wow, it looks so much better than your standard ones. If you find a bug, use Control L, and that will capture a network bookmark as well, and a text file describing the state of the application. And at last, if you want to see your current FPS, Control F will show you what your frame rate is. And yeah, it's interesting to see what happens when the frame rate drops, or to monitor your frame rate when you get to some of the Odyssey settlements. Lately, I have seen no change at all. It used to drop to about 10 to 15 2 years ago. Now it's great to see it sticking at 60, which is cool.
Mine's been really bad recently.
Has it?
Really bad, yeah. It's like only in certain places.
Are those places on fire?
No.
Oh, weird.
No, it like, and there's no rhyme or reason to it. It wasn't like a particular spot and everything. I know we're getting towards the end of the show, but I just wanted to just sort of say it hasn't happened for a really long time. It's been lovely and smooth, and there's not even been an update or anything, and suddenly certain settlements are being a bit of a bitch. Like, to the point that my game is crashing as well. It's completely unplayable. Very strange. And I've not changed anything either. Weird.
I mean, normally I've found that when graphics cards drivers update, sometimes you get some issues with the frame rate then. But I haven't had an issue with that for quite a while. But right. Anyway. So that was the question of the week. There'll be another question of the week probably later, probably later in the week.
Probably at the weekend, yeah.
Yeah, probably. Now, any other business? Just quickly, we have Babylon 5: The Road Home. That is now available for pre-order. That's the DVD, isn't it, Ben?
The Road Home is the cartoon that is directly following on after the end of season 5.
Yeah.
And it's available, I think it's DVD, Blu-ray, and live streaming as well.
Psychic, when's your next big D&D
Next a week on Sunday. A week on Sunday. On Sunday, we have a little after show that comes out. So on this Sunday, there'll be the little after show where we talk about how we started our characters, how my players started their characters, and a little bit of background along those lines. We have that comes out on sort of like the alternate weeks. But the following week will be episode 2, where we should complete the first book of Candlekeep, which will be very fun.
Oh, excellent.
I'm on kill everyone. I'm not. It's not going to happen.
Hashtag party wipe.
TPK.
Right, at this point here, I'm going to see whether or not we can bring in Station Commander Alan Stroud. Hello, Alan. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can. How are you guys doing? You all right?
Excellent. We're doing fine. I hope we find you well. Now you have yet another surprise for us. After the last show, we've got a whole lot of the Lave Revolution soundtrack. So we've got another one you've brought along for this one.
Yeah, well, it's just dropped on Amazon Music. It's just dropped on Apple Music. Basically the album is starting to sort of stream release, as it were. So which is really, really cool. And I've just got the publication dates for the new album and the new books, which is all good. So they're going to start coming out in August. But as it is at the moment, you can, if you are an Amazon Prime person, you can go on to your Alexa. If you've got your Alexa, you can say, Alexa, play Alan Stroud's music, and or Alan Stroud, and it tries to find me, and it comes up with Alan Stone usually for me, but might be the way in which I'm saying my own name. But so it's really cool, and you can kind of find stuff. So at the moment, the track you can get on Amazon that's on pre-release is Evasion, which is the track we're gonna have tonight, which will hopefully give everybody a good chance to super cruise or hyperspace their way wherever they're choosing to go, because it's probably the kind of the most toe tapping of all the things that I wrote for this album.
Excellent. And we'll be playing out with that, won't we? So
yeah. Just on one other matter, I had a little bit of other news today, which was that I'm in. so little tiny me, 13-year-old me, 12-year-old me, who was very into his role-playing games and very into his Warhammer and very into his Choose Your Own Adventure books, would have been delighted at this. In November, Aconite Books are publishing What Board Games Mean to Me, which is a collection of kind of reminiscing articles from people involved in making board games and role-playing games and such like, including Steve Jackson, Ian Livingston, Alesso Calvatori.
Who are they again? I've never heard of them.
Just Games Workshop and fighting fantasy and all of those things. Alessio Calvatori, who wrote Warhammer Fantasy at one point, and Jervis Johnson, who also wrote Warhammer 40k at one point, and then some other guy called Alan Stroud, which is rather cool. So I'm absolutely delighted to be in a book with them, which is amazing.
That's incredible.
That's lovely. That is. I do remember playing Warhammer Fantasy RPG. I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah, one of those kind of nice bits of news to get of an evening and look down the list of people and go, oh wow, that's pretty cool. So yeah, little teenage me would be very, very proud of that. But yeah, so that's what's going on. And it sounds like you've had quite a list of stuff to go through. All this advice, some of it, I got to say, some of it's great for me because I'm just reinstalling the game. So some of the advice is brilliant. I do think though that some that you picked out was perhaps tongue in cheek.
You
Yeah,
think?
maybe. I think you might be right.
Right, we'll quickly give some shout outs before we get Alan's track playing us out. So, as usual, our sister station, Hutton Orbital, it broadcasts on a Thursday at 8:30. You can tune in at twitch.tv Hutton Orbital Truckers, or if you just want the audio, just go to radio.forthemug.com. For the discerning commander that likes a bit of CQC action, check out the CQC Discord at discord.me/Elite Dangerous CQC. Giving shout outs to the following Elite Dangerous podcasts. So, hello to the Guard Frequency and those wonderful cheese loving loose screws over there in the States. Following this, we'll have the latest Galnet news digest as provided by Commander Witherspoon and Commander
Happy birthday,
Beetlejuice.
Pete!
Happy birthday to Pete. Yeah. And of course, special thanks go to all the commanders who have chipped in the Twitch chat. And Chris Mark IV, how have you had much in the way of social interaction?
Yeah, there's been a few folk hanging around. We've had William Solo, Helmut Grockenberger, Epsilon Niner was in the Lave Station bar, and I bumped into Ben Gohan when I was raiding a settlement. We were both sent to kill the same people, so we teamed up and fought against the settlement.
I'm so proud of you.
And how much notoriety have you got now?
None, thankfully, because they were all criminal masterminds and they deserved it.
Excellent.
All right for some.
It was worth it. All for my suit schematic.
Okay, so special thanks, of course, go to Commander Tokuso, JN Tracks, and the aforementioned Alan Stroud, who have all created music that we use on this show. That's it for another episode of Lave Radio. If you'd like to get in touch with the show, you can find the contact links in the home/contact us menu option of the laveradio.com website. Do let us know if you have any questions or if there's anything you'd like us to discuss in a future episode. Lave Radio is recorded live on a Tuesday evening at 8:30 and streamed out at laveradio.com/live. So, thanks to Alec Turner.
Thank you, Colin. Night all.
Thank you to Ben.
Thank you very much, Colin. You have a good one.
And thank you to Psychit.
Cheerio.
Thank you to Alan.
Take care, folks. Thank you, Colin.
And special thanks, goes to today's tech specialist, the Chris Mark IV.
You're welcome.
So that's it. Until next time, commanders, fly safe. And if you can't do that, fly dangerous.
Galnet News Digest, 18th of July 3309. We read the news so you don't have to. In this week's news, Azimuth gets a lot of rum. The federal election candidates continue to campaign, even though the election isn't happening. And concern grows about the Imperial Mother.
It's more likely than not that the reason for Azimuth's success in this week's appeal for rare delicacies to tempt their prospective corporate partners is their offer to give participants a newly improved pre-engineered overcharged gimbaled AX multicannon with autoloader. And it's almost certain that the reason they were deluged with Harmer rum rather than mammoth meat or Gilia weapons is that the rum was easily available in consignments of 60 tons, while the other goods can only be bought at most 12 tons at a time. So, Azimuth finds itself trying to make partners almost exclusively by feeding them vast quantities of rum, which is neither healthy nor a great way of bringing large corporations on side. It seems likely that they will forge some new alliances. Aegis may be far more capable of developing new technology, but Azimuth has shown itself adept at engineering tweaks to existing technology to make it work just a little better. It was Azimuth that developed the anti-Xeno weapon stabilizers that allowed more AX weapons to be fitted, and what Azimuth is now proposing is a series of tweaked and slightly improved versions of the more popular anti-Xeno weapons, starting with the gimbaled multicannon. Azimuth has proved itself able to bribe pilots to help it, but it remains to be seen whether it will be able to recover from the public relations disaster in HIP 22460 in August last year. Azimuth, while attempting the genocide of the Thargoids, accidentally made the Thargoids immune to Guardian weaponry and enticed them to attack human-occupied space, resulting in hundreds of thousands of deaths and the displacement of millions of Federal, Imperial, Alliance and independent citizens. It probably wasn't the outcome Azimuth's then head, Dr. Caleb Wycherley, was hoping for. Mind you, the death of Salvation, as Wycherley was known, at the hands of the Thargoids a few minutes after his plan backfired, probably wasn't what he was planning for either. Curiously, well-informed sources, including Aegis's advisor, Siojin A, believe that Salvation didn't entirely die when he was fried to a crisp by newly empowered but entirely ungrateful Thargoids. He is, they say, living as a disembodied consciousness in a distributed computer neural network, quite possibly modelled on Guardian technology. And if that isn't a loose end awaiting its time, I don't know what is.
The federal presidential candidates continue to rehearse their campaign pledges, but the election has now been delayed twice, with the Thargoid conflict blamed for citizens being denied their democratic rights. The June election was pushed back to August, and then to the final quarter of the year, which could mean anything from October to December. President Hudson, who's been disbarred from standing for re-election, will remain in charge until the election eventually takes place. The candidates include Vice President Jerome Archer, former head of the Federal Intelligence Agency and creator of the controversial Proactive Detection Bureau; Shadow President Felicia Winters, who's best known for briefly taking over the presidency after President Halsey went missing in 3301; and businessman Calico Zach Rackham, one-time pirate and multi-trillionaire, whose dodgy business practices and man-of-the-people campaign make him an ideal outsider to take on the establishment. Canon Interstellar's Commander LCU Noful Like-One has also announced his intention to stand, but having failed to gain enough support in the early rounds, he'll be a write-in candidate for the election itself. He was not invited to take part in the second presidential debate. Archer, predictably, continues to witter on about security and to trumpet his success in setting up the spy network that allows the Federation to snoop on its citizens. Winters criticises Archer's attempts to turn the Federation into a police state, and promises that she'll spend wisely on public services to provide a better standard of living across the Federation. She will, of course, have to raise taxes to pay for this. Rackham plans to make everyone in the Federation rich, and although he hasn't spelled out exactly how he'll achieve this, he has pledged to abolish all taxes for businesses and for individuals. Perhaps the Federation will be able to sustain itself on the profits of piracy. It's unclear whether the transition of power from President Hudson to the new incumbent will be smooth, or whether the Federation will descend into infighting and internecine strife. Will Archer and Rackham even get portraits? With a long delay before the rescheduled election, it's probably best not to pop that popcorn quite yet.
Concerns continue to grow for the well-being of the Imperial Mother. A statement was released by the palace on 3rd of July stating that Lady Florence Lavigny, the Emperor's mother, had suffered a medical emergency and that she was being cared for on her estate in the Fascis system. Since then, more than 2 weeks ago, the palace has issued no progress reports, and the condition of the Imperial Mother remains unknown to all except those at the very top of Imperial society and their servants and slaves. No information for such a long period leads to speculation. There are those who believe the Imperial Mother is already dead, and that Emperor Orissa is keeping the news quiet in case it might weaken her hold on the crown. There are those who believe that she was eaten alive by the family's pet Ling Lang, which nibbled to death her first husband, Prince Aristide, conveniently getting him out of the way so Florence could marry her lover, Emperor Hengist, who is the father of her daughter, the Emperor. Others believe the Imperial Mother was abducted by Thargoids, and the creature being cared for by the Imperial physicians is a Thargoid, dressed up with a handbag and an awful lot of lipstick. Following the death of the Imperial Mother, will the Imperial household really descend into chaos? Will the established Imperial Order, with Orissa, Princess Aisling, and Senators Patreus and Torval lording it over Imperial space, come to an end? Will isolationist pretender to the throne, Hadrian Augustus, make his bid to become a power, or have the Thargoids infiltrated the Imperial Palace, and will the Empire, in a surprise move, come out on the side of the Thargoids against Federation and Alliance? As with the delay in the federal election, the lack of news from the palace suggests we might have to wait some time to find out.
And that's this week's Galnet News. Galnet News, we read the news so you don't have to.